So I'm here this evening to talk to you about out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. It's the biggest killer you've never heard of. A killer that takes the lives of 3,500 Scots every single year. A killer that all of us have the power to change right now in our hands. But let's not start there. First, let me tell you the story about a policeman named Gregor. He's fit and healthy. It's a normal Saturday evening, and as usual, Gregor's watching Gogglebox on the TV with his family. He hasn't been feeling that great all day, so he decides to head upstairs for a lie down. As he reaches the top of the stairs, his heart stops beating. Gregor's had a sudden, unannounced, out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. No blood is circulating around Gregor's body. Unless someone does something, Gregor's chances of survival are going down by 10% per minute. Harry's in the living room watching TV when he hears the faintest sound of something coming from upstairs as his dad collapses. He looks on the landing and sees Gregor blue and unresponsive and calls on his mum in a panic. Judy is a nurse and knows immediately that Gregor is dying. She can't remember anything she's been taught about cardiac arrest, but she desperately starts to push on Gregor's chest. With the first chest compression, she feels his ribs crack. By now, Ailey, aged 14, has dialed 999 and is talking to ambulance control. The call taker is on speaking phone, giving Judy CPR instructions, while the two kids run barefoot across the road to get further help. A couple of strangers in the hotel opposite come opposite to help do CPR. After a few minutes that feel like hours, Sandy, the local community first responder, arrives. He attaches an automatic defibrillator to Gregor's chest, which shocks his heart into life. When he begins swearing, the family realise that Gregor's going to be okay. Paramedics arrive to take Gregor to hospital. In order for Gregor to have survived, a whole series of events, the chain of survival, had to take place. It starts with recognition of cardiac arrest and a call for help, then bystander CPR, which increases your chance of survival by 2 to 7 times, one followed by early defibrillation and hospital care. So why isn't it getting done? Well, cardiac arrest is not unusual. Every week in Scotland, around 70 people will have an unexpected out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. For a quarter of these people, it will be the first any kind of indication of any kind of heart problem. Of the 3,500 Scots every year who have resuscitation attempted by paramedics, only 5% or 1 in 20 of these people will go home alive. But in other places, like Stavanger in Norway, it's 1 in 4, almost 25%, will go home to loved ones. So why should this be the variation? Well, one secret of success is high rates of bystander CPR. Only around half of Scots who get CPR from a bystander. In other places, almost everyone does. Bystander CPR will increase chances of survival by 2 to 7 times. So why don't we do it? A Scottish poll conducted in 2015 revealed that only half of us have had training in CPR. The poll also found that there are 3 key myths making people reluctant to start bystander CPR. The first is people might think they might make things worse by doing it wrong, although it's hard to imagine how things could get much worse considering you're already clinically dead. The second is that there's a fear of catching a disease by doing CPR. This is highly unlikely and practically impossible if you're just doing compressions. The third reason is litigation after the event is why people are reluctant to start CPR, although no one in the UK has ever been sued for attempting bystander CPR. But let me share with you another problem that seemed impossible to fix. It appears in the film Amazing Grace, when William Wilberforce, anti-slavery activist, is talking to his friend Pitt the Younger, who's soon to be Prime Minister, and he says, "No one of our age has ever taken power. It's impossible." And then Pitt replies, "We're too young to realise that certain things are impossible, which is why we will do them anyway. We're too young for impossible." In March last year, in 2015, I was part of the launch of an organisation called Save a Life for Scotland, which aims to equip additional 500,000 people with CPR skills, which will help to save thousands of additional lives a year. So how can you get involved? Well, first of all, get CPR training. It only takes about 20 minutes. Find somewhere near you by visiting savealife.scot and tell your friends to spread the word. We can all learn CPR and be ready to use it when the need arises. We're too young for impossible. All of us at any age can help save a life. So, thank you.